Welcome to Words of Light for Today, a teaching ministry that shares godly principles while giving spiritual insight and divine revelation from the Word of God for the everydayness life brings. Be richly blessed as we join Linda Adkins.
All right, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4. Verse 12, he says this. I'm reading out of the New Living. He says, "Dear friends, don't be surprised at the fiery trials you're going through, as if something strange were happening to you. Instead, be very glad, for these trials make you partners with Christ in his suffering, that you will have the wonderful joy of seeing his glory when it is revealed to all the world." Don't be surprised. King James says, think it not strange. Think it not strange. I think King James says, when you fall into these fiery trials. We've had a fiery thing happen, though it wasn't fire, it was water. Anything that takes you out of your norm, out of your normal, is fiery. Anything that takes you away from your everydayness, anything that takes you from doing what you normally do can be considered a trial. Because you see, you're so focused in doing the thing that you do every day. And so when that is stopped, then you have to refocus and do what is at hand. And sometimes that is very stressful, because most people have all their balls going this way, and if anything changes and happens, something slaps the balls out, then you have this frustration and this aggravation, and you're trying to, and you can get tempted. You can get tempted. So he said not to think it strange. Back over in 1 Peter, in 1st chapter, why don't you look at that? Look at verse 6, or you can just listen. "So be truly glad." Okay, he's telling them, think it not strange, all of these fiery trials and things. "So be truly glad," he said in verse 6. "There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested." Listen. It'll show that your faith is genuine. "It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold." Wow. Listen, most people, after taking a step of faith, they look for clear skies and, an open path. I've used my faith, I've taken a step of faith, and they don't want to be ruffled up. And most people, when they think they've taken a step of faith, they're not in any mood to meet a storm. And the Lord told me many years ago, there's storms coming that cannot be prayed away. That was in 1996. And that's still true. Back then I told people, you need to get generators, you need to get prepared, you need to do this. So most everybody took heed, and they bought generators. Some of them stayed in the box for years. I had a couple of people come to me and say, I'm going to sell my generator. I said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I wouldn't do that. Because just because, we got through those things doesn't mean there's not other things coming. And anybody that says that there's not anything coming is wrong, and they've lied to themselves. Things are coming. Things are coming that can't be stopped. Now, I know that a lot of people got out and went to the beach and went to different places and began to pray, and that's all commendable. But you know what? The storm came anyway. So what are you going to do? Falter when your faith is tried like that and the thing blows in on top of you? Did he not hear your prayer? Yes, he did. But this was one situation that wasn't going to be changed with our prayer. See, we need to be so filled with him that we can tell the difference. No, this is going to turn in a different direction, and so we need to get ready for this. We need to get ready for this. And a lot of times, you're bringing railing accusations against things. Jesus stopped the storm, so I'm stopping the storm. And Jesus prayed against the winds and the waves, so I'm praying against the winds and the waves. And that's good, but when the winds and the waves come anyway, are you going to throw your faith down? He said, no, that they're going to come. But you ought to be glad. Be glad anyway. Be truly glad, he said. What's truly glad? It's just not halfway glad. Your shoulders are up, your head's up, and your voice carries that. I'm glad. Well, if you could see my backyard, you wouldn't be glad. Well, if you could see mine, you wouldn't be glad either. But I'm glad. I wrote in my book every day, I'm happy. I'm happy. I was hot and dripping, but I was happy. You see, the thing of it is, we don't realize that, listen to me now. The stronger your faith is, the greater the test. The stronger the presence of God is around you, the more your enemy is going to be in defiance. The last time I was in this room, there was such a mighty presence of God. There was such a fulfilling of His hand on us, telling us, I love you. I'm with you. I'm going to stay with you. The last time I was in this room, there was a tremendous understanding that His power and His presence had not left us. You couldn't have walked out of this church that day not knowing that God is here with us, for us, in us, through us. There was no way to do that. And then, you walk headlong into a storm. Well, the thing of it is, you see, there is astonishment in that, and there's perplexity in that. We see with them what happened to them when they got in storms. And nearly every time they were in real powerful meetings, feeding 5,000 people, casting out the devil, healing everybody that was on the place. And they get in the boat and they nearly drowned. Why? Because Satan is coming after everything he sees that comes to us from God. He is going to come with defiance. He defies us to believe that. But we can believe it anyway. We can believe it anyway, whether you wake up in the storm or you don't wake up in the storm. Do you see? Do you hear what I'm saying? When he sees rejoicing and faith and the love of God being poured out in our midst. He knows that His presence is here. He's coming after that. He's coming after it. Sure, you'll say things that you shouldn't say. Sure, you'll do things. But you see, it's just expecting tests and trials. If you read 1 Peter enough, you're going to find out the old boy believed in holding on to God, but he also told you over and over and over and over and over and over in the 5 chapters that he wrote, there's going to be suffering. I had a whole group get mad at me because I said that we would have to withstand the sufferings of Christ. They just got mad. Get mad, because we don't have to suffer. Jesus did all that for us. Then what do you call all this that's going on around here? There's going to be suffering. You're going to have to wait. But he said, though it tarry, though it looks like it's not coming, wait for it. Wait for it. See, waiting is hard. We don't want to wait. When are you going to get our lights? When are we going to get this? When are we going to get that? When are we going to have water? When? Though it tarry, he said, wait for it, for it will surely come. You got lights yet? I don't know how many times I've been asked that. No. Got lights yet? No. Have you caught any fish? No. Remember that message? Yes. Have you caught any fish? Children, he said. Children, have you caught any fish? No. You could hear their attitude. Even though you didn't hear them, you could hear it in the way they answered. They could have said, none today. That would have been a little bit better. Not yet. But they just flat out said in any translation, no. Mad, just mad, aggravated, outdone, perplexed. Not knowing, where are you going? What are you going to do? The more real our blessings are, the more real, listen to my words, the more real our blessings are, the more challenge you're going to have. The more real His presence is, the more the enemy is going to defy that. Think it not strange. Think it not strange. The more real anything you have is from God, the more of a challenge. The more real your faith is, the more it will be tried. If your faith really has power to it, it's real, it can produce. You know how to speak to things. You know how with your words of power change things. The more real your faith is, the more you're going to be tried. But you see, the more real it is, the more you can withstand the trial. The more you can without getting frustrated and aggravated and mad and tore all to pieces. You see, the thing of it is, listen to this. This is in Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, Let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion, who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and now he has seated in the place of honor besides God's throne. Wow. How wonderful is that? How wonderful that everything, he overcome it all.
Yes, he did.
He overcome it all. You see, his life was a life of faith. Listen to me. His death was a victory of faith. Oh my God. His resurrection was a triumph of faith. How? How does that set with us? His reign is a forever victory in faith.
Yes, amen.
His life was a life of faith. It is by faith that we have salvation, but it is by that same powerful faith that he made salvation for the whole world. Not just for one individual, but for the whole world. But the faith that we have produces that salvation in our life. He is our pattern in faith. He is our example. In every situation, difficulty, temptation, stress, distress. If you're knee deep, nose deep in water, you can still hold your head up and rejoice. You can still declare the salvation of the Lord. He will deliver me. He will send his angels for me. My God. Oh, my Lord. His resurrection is a triumph of faith. He's our God. He's our leader. He's our example. He's brought us through everything that we have to be brought through. There's not anything that we don't need to sit down and realize. He says, he comforts us. What I was reading from there was, as you know, the 12th chapter of Hebrews. He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. You're without water? Here, take some of mine. You need a hot bath? Here, come to my house. I've got something hot to eat. Let me share it with you. When I can't do anything, I can give money in the right places. So he says, he comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. For the more we suffer for Christ, the more God will show us with his comfort through Christ. The more you suffer, the more comfort he gives you. The more you're willing to stand, the more you're willing to hold on, the more you're willing to declare, the more you're willing to plant your feet and say, no, you're not. The more you do that, the more comfort he gives you. In the face of all perplexity, all distress, all frustration, aggravation, madness, hateful things, things not working, being without. You know, we're all just so spoiled. Oh, how wonderful he is to us in the middle of all kind of stuff. Now, my heart breaks for all those people that had water up to their roots. I don't know how to help with that. And saying I'm sorry is not, it seems, I don't know, useless. The only thing I can do is pray that the water recede. And that they get the help they need to rebuild or move. Might be a good thing to move when there's situations like that, because listen to me, they're going to come more and more and more. Listen to me. This says this. And since we are His children, now you see, you can put all these together. And since we are His children, I just read to you 2 Corinthians chapter 1. You find it. And since we are His children, we are His heirs. If you're neck deep, eyeball deep in water or not, you're still His heir.
Amen.
And if you'll keep moving your feet, He'll bring you out of that water. Mm-hmm. And since we are His children, we are His heirs. In fact, therefore with Christ, listen, we are heirs of God's glory. We're not only His heirs for all of this everyday stuff, and all of the mean stuff, and all of the good stuff, and all of the sunshine, and all of the rain, and all of the things that happen, the perplexities, the aggravations, the torments of life, with or without a storm. The frustrations that people find, the distress, the soul. The soul just... And since we are His children, we are His heirs. In fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God's glory. But if we are to share this glory, listen, we must also share His suffering.
That's right.
My God. Well, He didn't suffer storms. Yes, He did. Got right in the middle of one. So storm or not, come or not, day by day frustrations or not. Are you hearing me? Yes. He's still God. And every victory He won, every triumph over death, over sin, over life belongs to us. And He put all of that victory in our faith and then took it from Himself because He used it and gave it to us. He took all that faith from Himself, out of Himself, and put it right in you, and then gave you grace to walk with that faith out every single day. Well, glory to God for that. Amen. Can't you see? Look at things different when you go home. When I looked at my stuff, I thought, I'll be back. Don't go away. And you know, stuff, it won't go away. It's there. But we can rejoice in it. What is exactly the sufferings of Christ? Well, the sufferings of Christ is this. How and why do we participate in it? He knew hanging on that cross that what He was doing would be for the entire world, but all wouldn't receive it. But He did it anyway. He did it anyway. Okay, so here's the thing with us. We can know the truth and hold the truth and live the truth and understand the truth. We can know, comprehend what the truth of His salvation is, what the infilling of His Spirit, what is the mystery of Christ. It is the hope of glory in us. We can understand those things. And by doing that, listen, we can tell others. And sometimes they receive it with great, great gladness. And other times they turn and walk away. And you have to watch them walking away from what you know is life and truth. You have to watch them choosing a different direction than the one He's got for us. And that is suffering. Amen. When you see your own children going in another direction, choosing things that you know that the enemy has put in their path, doing things that you know is going to cost them severely. That's sufferings. When nothing can be done except you're crying out to God and holding on to Him, because I raised them up, and you said if they would be raised in your word, that they would not depart from it. That kind of thing I can take comfort in. I won't look at that, I will look at you, because we can see Him. We can see Him. We can see what He did. We know what He did, the suffering that He went through, hanging there on that cross. Go home now with your faith fitly put together, strengthened and undergirded. That's what you need. You heard today what you needed to hear. Now take hope and take heart. I haven't lost my faith. I acted like the devil the other day, but I'm repenting, and it's not the devil's business. If that's what you've said, then take heart. Salvation is still available. We're still saved. We're still filled with the Holy Ghost. We're still filled, but we know we got an enemy that defies everything we know and everything we think we know. He defies it. He defies you to take another step. But do it anyway. Do it anyway. Amen.
You have been watching Words of Light for Today with Linda Adkins. For prayer or a free CD of today's message, please call 904-289-9727. Visit our website at wordsoflight.org, where you may order explosive and anointed teaching messages or other great resources from our bookstore. Be blessed and join Linda Adkins next time as she brings Words of Light for Today.